All right, classes, this is our last video for Unit 3. This is our Unit 3 test review, which means that the next time you come to class, or let's see, Wednesday and Thursday of next week, you will be taking a test. So the next Wednesday you come to class, Wednesday class, y'all will take class, and then the next, y'all take a test. And then the next Thursday that you L through Z students come to class, y'all will take a test. Remember, on these simplifying the following fractions, you can punch these into your calculator and get the correct answer. So always check your answer to see if you did it right. But you have to show me your work. So remember, we're going to do 11 times 6, and that gives me 66. And then you're going to do 8 times 7, and that's going to give you 54. No, excuse me, 56. Right? But watch what I do. I'm going to check myself. I started to doubt. I know what 8 times 7 is, but I said 54. That's 56. There's a plus, so I'm going to do a plus between them. And then on the bottom of my fraction, I'm going to do 8 times 6. Well, 8 times 6, let's go ahead and check that one too, is 48. So now I'm ready to punch that into my calculator, but you have to show me that. So create a fraction, do 66 plus 56, and on the bottom do 48, hit enter, and that's going to be your reduced fraction, and it gives me 61 over 24. And that's my final answer. But what I want you to do is go back to that original problem. Create a fraction, do 11 over 8, plus create another fraction, do 7 over 6, and hit enter. And you get 61 over 24. In fact, guys, you can do that first to make sure you know what your answer is going to be. So do this, come up with 61 over 24, kind of write it off to the side, then show your work, and make sure you get the right answer showing your work. Because I am going to check what you write right here, okay? All right, so let's do the next one. So we're going to do 5 times 5. Don't worry about that negative yet. That gives me 25. We're going to do 3 times 3. Again, don't worry about the negative yet. That gives me 9. Now put the minus between them. That's on top. And then 3 times 5 gives me 15. You have to do it in that order. You have to go top left to bottom right, and then top right, bottom left. Okay? Create a fraction. That gives me 16 over 15. Again, go back and check. Punch the original 2 fractions into your calculator, make sure you get 16 over 15. On the multiplication ones, there's not a lot of work, but just show me that you're multiplying straight across. Give me little arrows right there, or circle the 3 and the 11 and the 2 and the 8. And that's going to give me 33 over 16. What I would do, if you didn't punch these 2 in the beginning, I would go ahead and create that fraction that we just got the answer and hit enter and make sure it stays that fraction. If it changes to a smaller fraction, then put the new fraction. But I do not want decimals. It's got to be a fraction. Remember, on division, we're going to keep, change, flip. So you don't have to write the keep, change, flip, but you do have to. You do have to show me that step. Keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, flip the second fraction. So this is the work you have to show me. Now multiply straight across. You can show me those arrows too. That gives me 21 over 4. I'm going to punch that into my calculator. Hit enter. It stays 21 over 4, so that is my final answer. Now, on the quiz, some of y'all refused to do this one like this one here, the way I showed you. If you remember, in class, I told you, let's go ahead and solve this equation first, not in here, but somewhere else. And I'm gonna give you plenty of room to do that, not only on the review, but on the test also. My first step would be distribute. So those arrows are my first step. Now, 3 times x gives me 3x. 3 times -4 gives me -12 equals 4. Now let's keep solving. I'm gonna add 12 to both sides. No, that should be 42. Sorry. So that's gonna give me 3x equals 54. Now I'm gonna divide by 3. Right, it's just a two-step equation. Get rid of the constant, get rid of the coefficient. And that gives me 54 over 3, gives me 18. Now go back and circle every step or every line that has an equal sign in it. And that's gonna tell you what goes down the left-hand side. Well, 3 parentheses x minus 4 equals 42. 42, excuse me, we already have that one. My next line is gonna be 3x minus 12 equals 42. Go to my next circle, that's gonna be 3x equals 54. And then my next one is x equals 18. Do not try to solve this one in these boxes. The only thing I wanna see written is what I circled when I solved it somewhere else. So now we need to fill in this side over here. Well, remember, these arrows represented my first step, right? So my first step that goes right here is, what is that called? That is called the distributive property. Oh, not PO, because remember, it's not a POE. If you remember, it has to happen on both sides for it to be a POE, or a property of equality. So just distributive property. Now my next thing I did was right here. There's nothing between here because we did distributive. But my next thing I did was I added 12. So I added, and that's the additive property of equality. The next thing I did that's not circled, I divided by 3. So that is the division property of equality. Again, solve this down below. Circle everywhere you see any equal sign. That's what goes on the left-hand side. And then the things between the circles is what goes over here. But remember, these arrows are circled, but that's actually the distributive property for our first step. All right, so next, let's turn this statement into some equations and solve what it's asking us to solve us. Jennifer is a college student who plans to work 2 jobs after school and on weekends, trying to make some extra spending money and to help pay for her tuition. Guys, that is a lot of words that mean nothing to us mathematically. At job A, she gets $9 an hour. So A gets $9 an hour. That's important, or might be. Let's see. We're going to put a box around it just in case. At job B, so at job B, she gets $11 an hour. Well, guys, those are the only 2 numbers I see in there, so that's probably the only 2 numbers we're going to use. Number 1, if Jennifer only works job A, so we're not talking about job B. If she only works job A, the one where she gets $9 an hour, write an equation for her total income, I, so I is her total income, for her working A hours. So this little A stands for how many hours she's gonna work. Well, up here, it doesn't tell us how many hours she works. I'm not plugging it into A. I'm gonna multiply the dollar amount times A. So that's gonna be 9 times A. How much will she make if she works 15 hours in a week? Well, remember, this 15 hours is gonna go into the letter that talked about hours. Well, that's A. Remember, I stood for income, and that's money, not hours. So it's going to be I equals 9 times 15. Punch it in exactly how you see it. It's going to give you 135. Guys, a few of y'all refused to give me units. That's an easy point you're losing right there. You have to tell me $135. Guys, I could make you write a complete sentence to answer that. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you, tell me the units. So I'm taking it easy on you. You've got to take advantage of that point. All right, so now if she wants to make $153 per week, well now that's her income. How many hours should she have to work? So now we're trying to figure out what that A is. So we're gonna plug in 153 into income equals, my 9's still there, and I'm solving for A. So I'm trying to get A by itself. So is there a constant over here? There is not. Is there a coefficient? Yes, so that's what we start with. So this is a one-step equation. 17. So A equals 17, but what did A talk about? A was an hour, right? The little a stood for hours, working A hours. So my answer is 17 hours. Next, if Jennifer only works at job B, so now I'm finished with this part of the equation, or this statement. Now we're only talking about job B, where she works 11, or she gets an $11 an hour. I stands for income again. B stands for the amount of hours she works in job B. So the 11 has to go in that blank. How much will she make? It's going to be our income if she works 15 hours. So now I'm going to plug 15 into B. I'm going to punch that into our calculator. That gives me 165. How much will she make? Well, I'm not talking about hours. Do you want me to pay you in 165 hours? No, you want me to pay you in $165. Now if she wants to make 341, that's going to bear a new income. That's what she wants to make. How many hours does she have to work? So now we're solving for B. We're going to do so by dividing by 11. Gives me 31. 31 what? Well, I solve for B, and B is how many hours? So it's 31 hours. So now, if Jennifer works at both job A and job B, so this was my job A, this was my job B, right? That's A, that's B. Write an equation for her total income, so we're looking for I, for working A hours at job A and B hours at job B. Well, we're going to take the 9 from the A equation. We're going to take the 11 from the B equation and plug them into those blanks. So now, how much will she make? So we're looking for I. If she works 12 hours at each job, so now this A and that B are both going to become 12 hours because it's at each job. So that's going to be 9 parentheses 12 plus 11 parentheses 12. If you'll notice on this left-hand side, there are no letters. So I can punch that into my calculator. I'm going to do 9 parentheses 12 plus 11 parentheses 12 and hit enter. 240. How much will she make? Sounds like money to me. 240. Last page. Convert the following to slope-intercept form and identify the slope and y-intercept. That is just telling us to get y by itself. And then tell me what my m and my b are. So I'm trying to get y by itself. Well, look, I've got two things over here with the y, so that means it's going to take me 2 steps to do it. The first step is always going to be move my x over. Remember, when I move my x over, it's going to go from whatever it is here, which is positive. In this case, it's going to become negative. And then my minus 25 is just written off to the end. Next, I need to get y by itself. I still got a 5 with it. It's being multiplied, so I'm going to divide. Do this off to the side. So my 5's cancel. That leaves me my y by itself, which is what I want. Leave that as a fraction. Negative 2 over 5 does not reduce. If you want to punch it in your calculator, you can. You can do negative 2 over 5, hit enter, and that's going to be your new answer. Well, it stays the same, so keep it negative 2 over 5. Minus, well, let's do the next one. So it's a negative 25 over 5, and it became negative 5 or minus 5. So let's do our slope. Remember, our m is in front of the x. In this case, it's negative 2 over 5. And my b is the number out here. That sign is important. It's negative 5. This one looks like there's only one thing over here, but remember there's a negative 1 right there. So this is going to be 2 steps also. First step, move your x term. So that's going to become negative y equals positive 4x. It was negative on this side, it becomes positive on this side. My y is still not by itself, it's got a negative 1 in front of it, so I'm going to divide by negative 1. That's going to leave me with negative 1's cancel. 4 divided by negative 1 is going to become negative 4x plus 9 over negative 1 becomes negative 9. My m is negative 4. If you want to go ahead and put that over a positive 1, you can, but you don't have to. If we were going to graph it, I would say put it over a 1. But we're not graphing this one, so you could just tell me negative 4. I'll accept either one of those. And then my b is the number out there on the end. In this case, it's negative 9. All right. Next, we're going to graph the following linear equations. So we want y by itself. Y is by itself. So I'm ready to go straight to list your m and your b. B is 2. M is 1/2. Go to 2 on the y-axis, put a point. My rise is 1. To the right 2. So I'm going to go up 1 to the right 2. Keep going. Up 1 to the right 2. Up 1 to the right 2. Oop, I messed up. That should be up 1 to the right 2 should be here. 1, 2. So that should be my line right there. Sorry about that. Again, I could have gone down 1 and to the right 2, down 1 and to the right 2. Same thing as up 1 to the right 2. This one, y is not by itself, so I need to take the x term and move it over. That's going to leave me negative 2y. That stays the same. 9x is positive here. It's going to become negative here, plus 8. Next, I'm going to divide by negative 2. That cancels those. That's going to leave me y equals, I've got negative 9 over negative 2. Let's see what happens there. Negative 9 over negative 2. Hit enter. The only thing that happened is it became positive 9 over 2. So go ahead and make that positive 9 over 2, x, and then 8 over negative 2. And that gives me negative 4, or minus 4. So my b is negative 4. My m is now 9 over 2. So go to negative 4 on the y-axis, put a point. I need to go up 9 and to the right 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember, don't start counting where you put your pen. Don't start counting on your starting point. Start counting at the first one from that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and to the right 2. And that's probably the only 2 points that would fit on the graph, so go ahead and do the best you can of graphing through those 2 lines. All right, last set. Solve each system of linear equations by graphing. So on this, we have 2 equations that we have to graph, and we're looking for where they're going to meet. My y is already by itself right here, so on this first one, I'm ready to do my m and my b. B is negative 4. If you want, you can go ahead and put a point right there and know where we're starting, excuse me. My m is -2/3. Remember, if there's a negative out in front, put it with the top number. Bottom number is always positive. So from my point, I'm going to go down 2 to the right 3. And put a point. I'm going to go down 2 to the right 3. To the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? But I want it to go all the way across the graph. It's really important on these systems to go all the way. So I can also go up 2 and to the left 3. That's still on that line. Up 2 to the left 3. That's still on that line. I can go up 2 and to the left 3. That's still on that line. So there is my first line. All the way across the graph. Let's do our second line. Number out by itself with no letter is my b, or my y-intercept. That's my starting point. My slope, or my m, is 5/3. That tells me go up 5 and to the right 3. Well, look, if I go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right 3, that gets me away from that other line. So I know I'm going to have to also go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the left 3, 1, 2, 3. Remember, down 5 and to the left 3 is the same as up 5 and to the right 3. So there's my new line. That's where they cross. That's my solution. That point right there is right below -3 on the x-axis. Remember, x's always come first. And it is straight across from 2 on the y-axis. That is my solution. That's how it has to be written. X comma y in parentheses. All right, last one. Well, if you notice, these do not have y by itself. So the first thing we're going to do, I'll come over here and I'm going to put the first equation. I need to get y by itself. So I'm going to move the 3x. That's going to become -3x plus 8. Let me make sure y'all can still see that. There you go. So I moved the 3x. It became negative on the other side. Now I need to get that -2 out of there, so I'm going to divide everything by -2. That's going to give me y equals, I've got -3/-2. Let's see what happens when I punch that into my calculator. It becomes +3/2. Don't forget your x. Next I've got 8/-2. That gives me -4. So now I know what my m and my b is for that first equation. My b is -4. My m is +3/+2. Starting point, y-axis, -4. Put a point. Up 3 to the right 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Up 3 to the right 2. Up 3 to the right 2. Up 3 to the right 2. Let's go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the left 2. Down 3 to the left 2. There you go. This one, y is not by itself, so I've got to move that 2x. It's going to become y equals +2x becomes -2x plus 3. No number in front of y, nothing to divide by, y's by itself. I'm ready to list my m and my b. B is 3, m is -2, but I'm going to put it over 1 because I want rise over run. Starting point is 3 on the y-axis. Slope starts getting a little more complicated, but guys, go to the y-axis and put that number, put a point, and there's partial credit right there. From here, I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1. Well, that's good because I'm going towards my other line. Down 2 and to the right 1. So I got down 2 and to the right 1. I already know where it crosses, so you can just go ahead and draw your line. Use a straight edge. There's my solution. So now what point is that? Well, it's right below the 2 on the x-axis. Remember, x always comes first. And it's right across from -1 on the y-axis. So there's my solution. So remember on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. If you come to school on Wednesday, you're gonna take a unit test, and if you come to Thursday, you're gonna take a unit test.